In this video, I will be doing a analysis on the church fight scene from the 2014 action comedy spy movie Kingsman. So I'll begin the analysis. Now, actually, before we begin, I forgot to put my thesis here. This scene uses a bunch of blocking, composition, and also music. And I know the assignment didn't mention dialogue, but I will also be including a little bit of dialogue as my analysis. So let's keep continuing onwards.
Eager fag lovers, and the devil is burning them for all eternity.
Excuse me.
Now, right away, with the use of dialogue, we see this so-called pastor, right? He says some not very good things about people. So already we kind of establish that whatever this group is, this church group, they're not really good people. And as we also saw, as we just go a little bit back here, we can see that we can tell that it is a church. There's a bunch of people. We see a bunch of crosses. We're in a church, right? So that is the now setting has been established that we are in a church with some very unfortunate, hateful people. So, but this catches the audience's attention because with such hateful words, it would cause shock amongst the audience. Now, what should be kept in mind is that Kingsman is a comedy film, but it also relies a lot of dark humor, a lot of black comedy, as it's called.
What's your problem?
I'm a Catholic whore, currently enjoying Congress out of wedlock with my black Jewish boyfriend who works in a military abortion clinic. So hail Satan, and have a lovely afternoon, madam.
Now, of course, here we have Harry here, the man in the black suit, right? He just said to this woman that he's going to excuse himself to see his so-called black Jewish boyfriend who works in an abortion clinic. Again, this would cause a months of shock and almost laughter in the audience because you realize these are the ideologies that the church is against. And now, of course, she is shocked, and we see now we are zooming out. Now we're in a different perspective where this is all now being viewed by some sort of outsider. I also want you to have taken notice that while Harry was saying these words to this woman, we see a little bit of some sort of tense music in the background. It's not super loud. You can kind of still hear it though. See
Have
right
a
here.
lovely afternoon, madam.
It's not necessarily too loud. It's very subtle right here. Kind of like doing an audio cue of like something's about to go down, right? So we continue onwards.
Yeah, he's leaving. I'm starting the test now. Hope enough of these freaks have our SIM cards.
Now, right there, right? So to give it a bit of a context, so right here is Valentine, played by Samuel L. Jackson. Now, he is the overarching antagonist of the film right here. And as we can see, he seems to have a lot of power. We see that he's watching all of this through some sort of television with his right-hand woman named Giselle. And as we go up here, he was turning a dial, right? And even remarking, hope these freaks have those SIM cards. Now, to give more context for this analysis, these SIM cards were free Wi-Fi SIM cards that you can have them like implanted inside of your head, right? By Valentine, because Valentine's supposed to be a philoparenapist. I don't know how to say that word, but basically he's apparently supposed to care for the people. So he's giving away these free Wi-Fi SIM cards, free Wi-Fi for life. But what the characters don't know is that these SIM cards have a system where if they are activated in a certain manner, it'll make them go insane, make them violent. But of course, the characters don't really know that, and actually, at this point in the movie, the audience may start to piece it together because it's not directly said earlier in the movie, and then yeah.
Oh shit, he's He's leaving. I'm starting to test now. Hoping none of these freaks have our SIM cards.
Now, as you see, of course, the music is starting to pick up, so now it's getting more tense. And also, we should take a note right here is when Valentine turns the dial here. Now we see that bit of like the humming, like this alarm sound, right? So let's take a listen right again.
Sit down, my friend.
Leave this
Who
church.
is this?
Leave this church like the infidel you are.
Now, what makes this great is due to the fact that it's picking up speed, so it's driving a lot of tension in the scene. It's making even the audience is kind of uneasy. But as you see here, as the pulse gets louder, we also see the woman now following Harry. She is yelling at him, and now the attention of the churchgoers have also been brought to Harry, and right here, we can see a little bit of some sort of music picking up, um, and then we also see, there's a lot of tension being brought upon.
Just like the infidel you are.
Now, what also makes this great is it feels very in sync because now the churchgoers are getting up, using the sense of composition, I believe, where they are turning their attention towards Harry. And this view, we're also seeing a hacked security camera. So now, Valentine and we, the audience, and also Valentine, are able to see, what is going on right here. Now, what makes this pretty, again, darkly comedic here is this woman is now saying to Harry that he will eat his babies and drown in the blood of the Lord. Because, for the things that Harry have said, obviously going to make this crazy woman pretty upset over. And as you see in the very far background, we see the leader right here raising his arms, and again, now you can see the churchgoers really brought their attention onto Harry now. And again, the pulse is now getting louder and louder. Now, right here, of course, the pulse had reached its max. Harry just shot this woman, and now all chaos is about to break loose, right? Now, I also want you, once the chaos starts, I want you to pay attention to the soundtrack that changes once the chaos unfolds right here. And now she has the absolute chaos. Now, what makes this pretty great, and for the audience, is despite how horrific and chaotic, this whole scene is, as we now hear the song "Freebird" by, I believe it's called Leonard Skyrin. I'm sorry, I do not know how to pronounce that band's name still, and it makes it great because with the song it being some sort of like rock, and also we hear this this guitar solo going crazy, it really pairs well with the chaos that is unfolding throughout this scene, and that is what makes it also so great right here, the perfect use of a soundtrack here, because a lot of these scenes, right, a lot of action scenes, there tends to be some sort of tense music or soundtrack, right? But here we're hearing Freebird, which in the context of the scene is quite darkly comedic for how almost, I guess, in this context, non-serious this song is, and that's what also just makes it great. There's just actually, I actually will mute this. Should explain this. So throughout this chaos, the song keeps playing. The guitar solo, there's absolute violence and chaos, and this blocking is pretty great right here. We see that there's always something going on in the background. We see people just stabbing, punching each other, just killing each other, as well as Harry now, and this is all due to the fact that the SIM card have now driven all these people, quite mad, right? And again, the music keeps climaxing right here. It just keeps going and ongoing right here. I definitely do check out this movie and this fight scene right here. And again, lot of excellent, I think, blocking right here. We see how very in sync the characters are. And fun fact, this entire scene was done in one take, so that's very impressive. And this is pretty hilarious. See, this man just got gets set on fire right here. Now, despite another thing to emphasize on the composition blocking here, despite how gory and horrific all of this is, there's always a sense of comedy. See, as you saw that woman just tripped right here. We saw the man getting his, being set on fire. Harry just simply being annoyed by being stabbed in the back. Even though his suit is bulletproof and stab proof, it is still pretty funny to witness. You know, I think this scene, the church fight scene, the dude just gets impaled right there. Guy just gets electrocuted by that. Harry's putting a grenade in his pocket. This scene is great because even though it's so gory and chaotic, there's always something that the filmmakers do that makes it funny. That woman's face, makes a funny face when she gets axed. Now, I will want to go back to sound, so right here, this moment is pretty good. So I will actually go right back into here. Let it play out. Now that moment was pretty great. Now we just do it without the music because it's not super monumental right here. But obviously when the grenade explodes, the music sounds really faded. We hear this this tinnitus like sound, and it's pretty interesting right here. If you notice, Harry has this look of like despair and confusion. This is because when the grenade had went off, since it messed probably with equilibrium and all that stuff. Harry would not be actually under the influence of the SIM card. So him looking like confused, and just like what is going on? That tiny moment, he was not under the influence of the SIM card. But obviously, the music, came right back up, and now Harry's back being violent, and just keep on killing all these people and stuff. The music goes back up, but I'm still gonna mute it right here. Again, amazing composition, especially when this is taken in during one take right here. The use of the actors, there's always something going on, but never distracting. We're still able to follow suit at what's going on here, and what also makes it great that is pretty subtle is a reason why it's also so good to it's so easy to follow along in the scene. As if you notice, right, Harry's wearing a pretty he's wearing a suit throughout this whole kiss. I'll just bring it back right here. We see that Harry is wearing a black suit, right, and a little bit of the white in the sleeves, and a bit of a collar, but it's very distinct, right? So it's subtle but excellent because the audience can still keep track of Harry. We can still follow him along right here, despite all the chaos, especially with his glasses and his hairstyle, right? I don't know if it was entirely intentional, but because of these choices that the filmmakers did, it's still easy to follow along Harry, even with all this chaos going around. And I think that is it. That is the analysis of my scene analysis for Kingsman on the church fight scene. And yeah, thank you for watching.